Let's bring in Ian Lee to get his take, a business analyst, and his read on what this is going to mean now for the Canadian aluminum industry. Ian, good to see you again from Ottawa. What do you think?
My pleasure. I mean, this is a win-win for both sides. And this, I think, this came about because there was both politics at play and business at play. The business first. This, aside from the two aluminum companies who demanded this tariff, this was overwhelmingly unpopular and very publicly criticized by the business community, the Chamber of Commerce across the United States, people that support Trump's pro-business agenda. So, you know, in politics, you're supposed to embrace your friends and shoot at your enemies. He was shooting at his own allies, if you will, supporters. You know, the politics is Trump likes to run against villains. You know, he talks about the Chinese ripping off the American consumers and the Mexicans. Canada's a lousy villain. We're the Boy Scouts. We're the nice guys in the world. And the Americans in public opinion polls show they like us and respect us. And so I think he realized it probably wasn't very effective. And then finally, let's give credit to Chrystia Freeland. I see her hand in this. Yes, there was no, quote, written agreement, but there certainly was an understanding. You know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, know what I mean? You read that communique from USTR, it's spelled out very precisely. These are our expectations. You do this, we'll do that.
What was the strategy here on the part of the Trump administration, Ian? I mean, was there a coherent strategy?
I don't think it was. I mean, some of the tariffs he has done have been have announced in the last 2-3 years have been very popular. It allows him to stand up, you know, I'm making America great again, I'm standing up for the American workers, that sort of rhetoric. But Trump does misfire quite often, as we all know, and he makes mistakes because he shoots from the hip. He makes decisions on the fly. They're not, you know, well thought out, well reasoned, you know, where staffers work the file and so forth. And so I think in this instance, again, the politics were playing in by putting the tariffs on the Canadian aluminum exporters. He was forcing American business that needs that aluminum to turn to Russia. Well, Russia is a bona fide villain. You know, I mean, they have a leader there that does terrible things to people that criticize him, opposition leaders. And I think he was probably, that was in the back of his mind as well. Does he really want to be running in the campaign where he's pushing away the Canadian aluminum in favor of buying Russian aluminum? So I think he probably was having second and third doubts about the cleverness of his strategy.
What about the timing, too? I mean, we are waiting for Chrystia Freeland to come out momentarily, and now she'll have, of course, a very different narrative than what we expected, which was like, here, we're going to hit the Americans with these retaliatory tariffs. Now it's going to be like, well, the strategy seems to have worked, Ian. That'll be sort of part of the story anyway from the Deputy Prime Minister. But I wonder the pressure that would have brought on Donald Trump, you know, and as they move toward an election, some of these key states, I mean, the Canadians were quite canny in terms of targeting certain products in certain key states.
I want to give full credit to Chrystia Freeland. I think behind the scenes, when the story is ultimately written, that they did a full court press. They were calling on their allies in the business community in the States who were lobbying the White House and the administration, the Trump administration. The Canadian ambassador, the ambassador to Washington from Canada was involved. Chrystia Freeland was involved. I mean, if you read that communique, on the first line from the United States Trade Rep, it says, after consultations with the Canadian government. So the fine hand of Chrystia Freeland was there. It's in the opening sentence of the document released today by the USTR to the public.
I wonder whether you think this is it now until the election, or whether we'll still continue to see quote unquote Canada bashing by the president when it comes to trade issues.
Given that he backed down on this one and he saw the pushback, very strong pushback. This was widely reported in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and other business media. This was not popular in the States, in the business world, in the business community. And I think, as I said, he misfired, and he thought he was going to get praises for standing up again for American workers, and it backfired on him. So I think we maybe have got a little bit of immunity from now until the election, which is only 60 days away. And because there, as I said, there are real villains in the world, and we're not one of them. And so he may look for some bona fide villains out there to go after.
Ian Lee joining us from Ottawa with the Sprott School of Business at Carleton University. Hey, Ian, good to see you on this Tuesday. Thanks for this.